Each time this town gets back on its feet, a new faction turns it into a rival, says Ali, a 35-year-old agricultural engineer. We are tired of war. In Manbij, in northern Syria, war-weariness seems to prevail over politics. Most residents long for stability after witnessing various groups wage fierce battles for control of the town since the start of Syrian civil war. In 2012, rebel groups drove out security forces loyal to President Bashar al-Assad. 2 years later, the jihadist group Islamic State seized control, and in 2016, the town was captured by a United States-backed alliance of Kurdish and Arab militias known as the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF. Now, Manbij finds itself in the crosshairs once again. The Turkish government has then threatened to launch an assault to force the Kurdish militia that dominates the SDF, the People's Protection Units, to withdraw from the predominantly Arab and move east of the river Euphrates. Ankara considers the extension of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, which has fought for Kurdish autonomy in Turkey for 3 decades, and sees the militia's presence along its southern border as a security threat. The Turkish military was dissuaded from attacking Manbij, which is about 30 kilometers (20 miles) from the border, by the presence of troops from a United States-led multinational coalition, which has relied on the SDF to battle its militants on the ground in northern and eastern Syria. But the situation changed on 19 December, when United States President Donald Trump declared victory over IS and announced that United States military personnel would begin withdrawing from Syria immediately. The decision came as a surprise to the SDF, who warned that a United States pullout would allow it to revive itself again and create a political and military vacuum in the area, leaving its people between the claws of hostile parties. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he was not in a hurry to carry out an operation in Manbij, but activists reported that reinforcements had been sent to the border and a nearby Syrian area controlled by Turkish-backed rebel factions. Fearing an attack, the SDF called on the Syrian government to step in. On 28 December, the Syrian army said its troops had entered the town, but the reality turned out to be different, with troops and allied militiamen remaining stationed to the south. On Wednesday, the state news agency SANA reported that almost 400 Kurdish fighters had withdrawn from Manbij in line with an agreement, but residents told the BBC that the Kurdish-led administration was still firmly in control. If the regime enters Manbij, it will do it through armed tribal militias. Big tribes, such as Al-Albani, are supportive of the regime, says Ali, the engineer. Ali, who is un-Arab, says the current administration has brought us stability, but he believes negotiations are the best option for the town. There are some residents, though, who would prefer to see Turkish-backed rebels take control. They include Arabs, who have accused the Kurdish fighters and officials of discrimination and human rights abuses over the past 2 years. People who have opposed President Assad's rule are under conscription to the Syrian army over the past 7 years, could also face being prosecuted on a drafted and government rule. However, the actions of rebel factions, when they controlled Manbij, between 2012 and 2014 have left other people wary of their return. Some support the regime as they are more worried about the opposition. Others are driven by their personal interests or political beliefs. Says one Kurdish resident, most people just want the end of the war. All residents are now waiting anxiously for outside powers to decide the town's fate. United States National Security Advisor John Bolton is due to arrive in Ankara on Monday to discuss Syria with Turkish officials, while President Trump has reportedly agreed to give the United States military 4 months to withdraw the 2,000 troops in Syria, rather than the 30 days he initially decreed. As long as the United States-led coalition troops are there, neither Syria nor Turkey will intervene, says another local Arab, who used to work as a journalist. A poacher has been ordered to watch the Disney film Manbij repeatedly after he was convicted of illegally killing hundreds of deer. Missouri hunter David Barry, Jr., must view the film at least once a month during his year-long sentence. He was arrested in August along with 2 family members for killing the deer, taking their heads and leaving their bodies to rot. Prosecutors said it is reportedly one of the biggest poaching cases in Missouri history. On top of the jail sentence for the illegal deer hunting, Judge Robert George ordered Barry Jr. to view the Walt Disney movie Manbij, with the first viewing being on or before December 24, 2018, and at least one such viewing each month thereafter. During his spell in prison, the 1942 cartoon about woodland creatures shows a hunter kill the mother of eponymous deer character Manbij. A months-long investigation, spanning several states, led to the arrest of Barry Jr., his father David Barry, Sr., and his brother Kyle Barry, according to local newspaper, the Springfield News Leader. While the total number of deer taken illegally is unknown, Lawrence County's conservation agent Andy Barnes said it could be several hundred. Barry Jr. received a year-long sentence in Lawrence County Prison after pleading guilty to illegally taking wildlife. He has also been sentenced to a 120-day term in Barton County Prison for a firearms prohibition violation, and both he and his father had their hunting privileges revoked for life by the Missouri Conservation Commission. A popular tourist attraction has become the latest Chinese company to show solidarity with Huawei's chief finance officer, Meng Wanzhou, who was arrested in Canada on 1 December. Shannon Mountain Scenic Park in eastern Henan Province said it would waive the $9.40 65 yuan ticket fee for anyone carrying a Huawei phone. Ms. Meng, who was given bail in Canada, faces extradition to the United States on charges of breaking Iran sanctions. Her case has upped tensions with China. U.S. Huawei phones shoot grand photos on the mountain. A notice on the Shannon Park's social media account said, "We wish friends around the world who support Huawei's success in bliss." The offer would last until 29 December, the South China Morning Post reported, but it was met with some criticism among China's social media users, who claimed it was discriminatory. Huawei phone owners are being offered other enticements too. They can get a 20% discount at a bar in Beijing. Seen in Beijing, bring a Huawei phone and get 20% off. Similar to this story we covered yesterday, https:// COQXL1IYPQLPIC, Twitter.com Sokolov. End of Twitter post by @LuoShunji. At least one firm has threatened to penalize anyone buying Apple products. A few days ago, Manbij Shenzhen-based legend display manufacturer offered subsidies to any employees buying Huawei phones. It also pledged to fine anyone who bought an Apple iPhone. United States prosecutors allege Ms. May 46 used a Huawei subsidiary called Skycom to evade sanctions on Iran between 2009 and 2015.